Hi, my name is Laurie Benold, Locke, and I have been a member of this church since 1962. I was born here in Georgetown in 1951 in the old hospital, and was baptized in this church by Reverend Billy Morgan that same year, and then joined in 1962 with my confirmation class when I was in the 5th grade. So I think that makes me the third longest serving member at this point, with my mother and my brother. I've been very involved in the life of the church my whole life. Of course, early on with Sunday school and MYF and leadership in MYF. And then when I was younger, I was chair of the Council on Ministries and the Worship Commission, and helped with Vacation Bible School, of course, every year, and taught Sunday school and played the piano for music makers and things that you do. I was the president of the United Methodist Women for several years and circle chair, and then spearheaded the making of the handmade quilt that's in the foyer. We did that for our sesquicentennial, and that was part of our UMW circle. And we did it like our grandmothers did. We had it on a frame and sat around and hand quilted it by hand. And all of the women who worked on it have their initials embroidered into the leaves that go around the perimeter. Along with a few other people, I helped start 2 adult Sunday school classes in the 1980s, the cross sections class and the chrysalis class. And both of those have morphed and changed into other things at that time. But at that time, there were only 1 or 2 other Sunday school classes for adults: home builders class, which was mainly older women, and the contemporary forum class. I've also sung in the adult choir since I was in the 5th grade. We didn't have a children's choir, and my mother was in the choir, so I started singing in the 5th grade. And I've sung with the choir pretty much for the rest of my life. And I've sung under 5 different choral directors, and I have to say we are particularly blessed at this time to have Mark Perfont as our choir director. And in the early 80s, Ellsworth was the church organist, and he, for some reason, couldn't be in church on one Sunday, and he called and asked if I would play the organ for him in church. And I had only had 1 semester of pipe organ in college. I'd had much piano. And I told him that I just couldn't do that. It was too hard. I just wasn't qualified. Anyway, he was very encouraging and said, "I'll work with you and I'll get you some music," and all that sort of thing. So I said I would, and I did. I was horribly nervous, but I did. And so that led to me being the substitute, alternate, whatever, organist for the church for about 10 years, and loved doing that, and also played for funerals and for weddings and that sort of thing. And then one of the big things that happened when I was younger and very active in the church was the Wednesday Night Live program. And in 1989 or 1990, I can't remember, David Mosser was our pastor and Cynthia Simpson was the associate, and they came to me and said they wanted to start a Wednesday night program with a meal, so that people that had to come to all the committee meetings and church choir practice and all of that could have a meal and some fellowship beforehand. And no one did that at that time. That was a whole new concept, and they called it Wednesday Night Live after Saturday Night Live, and asked me if I would be in charge of the meals. So I said I would, and organized a group of about 90 women to volunteer. We called them the pressure cookers. I organized them into shifts of 6 people each, and they worked for 4 hours once a month. And so I had a shift that would come in every Tuesday morning, every Tuesday evening, every Wednesday morning, and every Wednesday evening. And we cooked all the meals completely from scratch. We didn't do any frozen food. We didn't do any of that. And so had really wonderful meals. And I did it for 5 years. And we had about 400 people that were coming to dinner every Wednesday night. Between 300 and 400. The Atkin Hall was completely packed with tables. And it was just it was a high point in the history of the church, I think, just because the camaraderie was so wonderful, the fellowship was so wonderful. It was like a big dinner party every Wednesday night. And it just brought together people who ordinarily wouldn't see each other or went to a different service and that sort of thing. And we just had the best time. We also wanted our members to feel like more of a family and more of a group that knew each other and supported each other. And you need to know people to do that a lot of times. And so at the Wednesday Night Live programs, people would be lined up all the way around the gym. And of course they're talking and they're visiting and they're moving between tables and chatting. And, we had big children's tables for their dinners. And so the children were there. And it just brought a sense of cohesiveness to the church. And I think that was after we had gone from one service to two. So again, we weren't seeing everybody in the church all the time. And it succeeded beautifully, I think, in meeting those goals. I just feel like my whole attitude has been, my family's attitude has been, if you see someone who needs help, you help them. You see someone in need, you feel that someone is hurting, and you try to help. I think First Methodist has always had an outstanding legacy of compassion and leadership in the community, but that has always been the legacy of this church, and that has been to lead in the community, the efforts to help people who were underserved and invisible in some ways. We've always been an inclusive group. So I hope with all, now we do so much missionary work in town, and we do it in the United States, we do it in the world, and we have a reputation for being open and welcoming that I hope we continue into the future.